Hi guys, welcome back to the course. So in this video we will select the rows from the database. So to do that we have to create a table inside our PDO database. So let's open phpMyAdmin and create a table. So localhost phpMyAdmin, and I will select this PDO database that I created in the last video. So select it. Now you can see it is saying create table. Now I can name my table here students, and it will have two columns or no, actually three columns. So I will click this go button at the right side, and now I can name the columns. The first one will be ID, the second one will be name, third one will be registration number, REGNO, and the type of the first column will be ID, and it will take maximum 11 characters, and the second one will be of type varchar and maximum 100 characters. The third one will be of type varchar as well, but 10 characters maximum, and this ID will actually be auto increment and primary key as well. So when I check this auto increment checkbox, it will also make it primary. So click this go button. Now click this save button to save the table. So save it, and now you can see I have created a table. So now let's insert some data inside this table so that we can select that data. So click this insert tab to insert some rows. So let's insert some rows. The first one is Basit Altaf. The registration number is 1212108. The second one will be Yasir Naseem, and registration number will be 1212128, and I will click this go button here. So go, and now you can see it is saying 2 rows inserted. Now if I click this browse, now you can see these 2 rows which I recently inserted. So now let's go ahead and write the code to select these rows from the database. So let's open Notepad++ and let's create a new file. And save this file as select.php, and we will save it in the same folder, in the PDO folder which we created in the last video. So click save, and now we will actually write our query and all of our code here. So you will have to connect to the database first, and we done that in the last video. So we can actually include this file inside this select file so that we don't have to write all the code again. So include, and it is inside the same folder, so I don't have to pass the complete path. So connection.php, and now let's save it and let's check if we have some errors or not. So localhost PDO select.php, and now it is saying we are connected. So actually let's remove this we are connected, because we were using this to check, and now we are sure that our database connection will work. So let's remove this if from this connection.php file. So let's completely remove this if condition, save it. Now let's go back to select.php file, and similarly we will use a try catch block, try catch, and inside these parentheses we will pass the PDO exception EX, and let's create some space. And now I am simply saying if there is a PDO exception, then execute all of the code written in these curly brackets. So what we want to do when a PDO exception occurs, we want to print the error message. So let's print the error message using EX, and we will call a method called get message, and this method will actually print out the error message using this echo. So now we are set to go. So now let's use the connection to execute a query. So the name of the connection variable was con, and let's execute a query, and this query method will actually take a string which will be a query. So we will pass a query like select all from students. Simple. Actually this query will return rows, so let's save those rows inside a variable called result equals to connection and query. And now we can simply loop through this result object. So what we want to do now is use a while loop, and we will use this while loop to loop through all the rows returned by this query. So inside this parentheses of the while loop, let's create a variable called student equals to result fetch. What we are doing here is we are simply saying that execute the fetch method of this returned object. So if it will loop through all the rows returned, so if there is no row returned by this fetch method, this variable will become null. So this while loop will stop because the condition will become false. So now let's echo the student's information. So name, and this actually fetch method will return the rows in the form of associated arrays. So copy this variable, and you know that in associative arrays we use the column names to reference the data. So the name was stored in the column name, and registration number inside this. So similar, and the name of the registration number column was regno. Now let's create a line break. So after echoing each student information, we will move on to the next line. So simple enough. So let's open this select.php in browser. So if I refresh, now you can see name Basit Altaf, registration number 1212108, name Yasir Naseem, and registration number is equal to 1212128. So simple enough. So that's it for this video.